Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as we get a shock transfer update from Fabrizio Romano around a goalkeeper and a late sweep, and also an interesting story coming out this morning that INEOS still fear a quit from Ruben Amorim. They still fear he could walk away. We'll talk about that as well. But let's get straight into the last few hours of this transfer window now. I mean, look. 7 o'clock tonight, 24 hours to go. Where's the bloody midfielder? I mean, we spoke about it in depth last night. It's not a bloody joke. Where is the midfielder? So I want to know about that. But let's start off with the goalkeeping situation. And it's a huge drop from Fabrizio Romano this morning. Now, I'm a little bit early, as I said this morning, because at 10 o'clock, Seb's playing a game of football, so I'm live earlier. But it's good that I'm live early, because this is an early drop from Fabrizio Romano this morning. And what he's basically saying is that Manchester United have made a new approach to Aston Villa for MARTINEZ. Talks remain ongoing for Lemens, while United want to be ready if the deal collapses before the deadline. It also goes on to say, a direct quote from Fabrizio this morning, if Lemens' deal doesn't happen, maybe they could try to reactivate an option for Martinez. He always remained an option internally at the club. Let me be clear, the priority is Lemens and they want to close the deal, ready to go big in case they can't get it done. We'll see what's going to happen. So it's goalkeeper conversation in the last few hours of this transfer window. I've got to say, I have a couple of issues with this. First of all, why is the big deal and the only deal we're doing in the last few hours of this window a goalkeeper? Why are we so locked in on one deal when two are absolutely necessary? We've been looking at a goalkeeper now for what feels like all summer. We've definitely been looking at Lemens since the start of July. Why have we done another Agate? Why have we done another Amrabat, where we've spent 2 months dancing around a deal we know we're going to do, pushing it to the last end of the window so that we can't do another deal? United have got to stop doing this. We know your game. We've played the game. We know your game. You've been talking to this guy for 2 months. You've purposely pushed it back to the end so you can go, oh, we ran out of time with the midfielder. Let's speak to Samuel at the Manchester Evening News. Samuel, can you drop your normal bullshit story on Tuesday morning saying Man United plan to go big on a midfielder in January? Cheers, pal. See you later. Bye. I've played the game. I know exactly what's going to go on here. It's going to be a goalkeeper right at the end of the window tomorrow, and Tuesday morning when the window's shut, it'll be a big story about how we're going to go big for Baleba. Just the same as when the January transfer window shut. Right at the start of February, we had an Ornstein bomber. Man United are going to go for Kenda. And what happens? We don't bloody get them. So, Glazer-nomics at work again. I'm not going to sit here getting excited about the goalkeeper. I'm sorry. I want a fucking midfielder. I want a midfielder. We need a midfielder. And if we don't get a midfielder, watch last night's show about where we're going to end up. So, don't try and play the game of, oh, we might go for Martinez. You're not going for Martinez at all. You're trying to scare Royal Antwerp. You're not going for Martinez. Absolutely no chance you're going for Martinez. We all know it's spin, cock and bullshit. No chance we're going for Martinez. This is spin, PR to get Royal Antwerp to go, oh no, we might miss out on a big deal. Let's do a deal with Manchester United. We'll end up with Lemens, and it looks like that's all we're going to end up with. So you're not going to get an excited Goldbridge this morning going, oh my God, we might go for Martinez. I want a midfielder. That's what I want. And actually, just on the goalkeeper stuff, I mean, let's run a poll on this. I'm very interested to know where you would go on this, either or, because I'm not even going to wait for the result, and I'm not going to look at the result. I respect the result, but I know what I want to say. I'm not going to wait. So I'm doing a poll here. Would you go for Lemens or Martinez with 36 hours left in the transfer window? Without looking at your results, I don't like this story because I want Martinez. I don't like this story at all. I don't know who's leaked it to Fabrizio. I don't know whether United probably have leaked it and said, can you leak it so that Royal Antwerp get worried that we might pivot to Martinez? I hope we do pivot to Martinez. You know, I look at Man United and I go, do I want an experienced Premier League goalkeeper with attitude? Or do I want, and when I say attitude, I mean confidence. Or do I want a young kid who's never played in the Premier League before? Hello, I think I'll take the experienced leader goalkeeper, thank you very much. You know, the guy that stopped a one-on-one in the World Cup final and helped Argentina win the final. Yeah, I think I'll go for that guy. So what worries me about this is we're using the guy I want as the decoy. Actually, I want Martinez over Lemens. I like both, actually. You know, ideally, if you're Man City, Liverpool or Arsenal, you get both. You have the experienced goalkeeper who's 35, and you have Lemens, who's the up-and-coming goalkeeper. You know, that's what a proper club does. So, I want Martinez. I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm going to be in the minority, but I want Martinez. So, I don't even like this, you know, PR story. You know, I will back Lemens. I think it's an interesting signing, but I don't know much about him, and he's going to need patience. Looking at that Man United side, do I think a 23-year-old goalkeeper who's never played here before is going to command the respect and authority of that defence instantly? Probably not. Probably be a bit like De Gea in the first year. You know, there will be mistakes, and we'll have to be patient. But, you know, Martinez is infinitely the better goalkeeper to go for in the short term. So I don't, you know, I sort of read Romano's update, and it's almost like they're full in on Lemens, but if they don't do that deal, they'll pivot to Martinez. And I'm like, pivot to fucking Martinez now. But I don't think we can afford him. He'd be more expensive. So it's an interesting story, but it's not the story I want this morning, really. You know, I want a bloody midfielder, and I can't move away from that. I think it's as the Pet Shop Boys once sang, and Elvis Presley, it's a sin. Did he sing It's a Sin? No, he sang You're Always on My Mind, which is a midfielder. You're always on my mind. No, the Pet Shop Boys sang It's a Sin, and it's a sin not getting a midfielder, definitely. Let's not ruin Lemens. No, look, I want to be very, very clear. I like Lemens, and you know what I'm like with younger players. I do give them patience and time. But you're offering me up a goalkeeper that can come in and do a job right now against a young goalkeeper where we know most of our fan base is going to, well, not most of our fan base, a lot of our fan base and a lot of the media are going to be on him from day one. It's huge pressure, huge pressure. Ashton Bedford, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. MG99 says, Emmy does have a propensity for boneheaded moments. Yeah, but, I mean, look, it's what he brings straight away, isn't it? Authority. Liam says, if we get Lemens or Martinez in, then go for a midfielder on loan. I agree with you, Liam. And we mentioned Conor Gallagher last night, which was a pure fan theory. And I've just got a video dropping on That's Football about the last few hours of the window. It's going to be crazy. It's just whether it's going to be crazy around Man United. I think there's going to be some big deals going off in the next 24 hours. You know, big surprise deals. Will United be involved in any of those? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't feel like we're like that. But look, fingers crossed we can still get a midfielder. But the problem with the goalkeeper is I don't think the goalkeeper happens today. I think the goalkeeper, they'll push it to tomorrow, and then they'll be... Man United can't do two deals at once. So if we don't get Here We Go today, even if we do get Here We Go today, United is still working on it tomorrow anyway, doing all the paperwork. So I think we're running out of time here on a key signing. How much cash do we have to spend from the Garnacho sale, says James? All of it. £40 million. It's pure profit. Where it will go, I don't know. It could go on transfers from this summer. It could go on transfers that we owe from, you know, remember we walked into the summer owing 90 million from previous deals. There's debt interest, which is normally 40 million a year as well. So I don't know where that money will go, but it's pure profit. Stanton says Martinez for Onana is like getting a diamond for shit. 67% of you do actually agree with me. You would go for Martinez over Lemens. I think we will get Lemens. Reading it from Romano, and somebody said it in the chat, he's been briefed there by somebody close to the club, because it definitely reads like if United don't get what they want from Lemens, they're going to go to Martinez. And it's like, it's a threat. So, look, I wouldn't expect Martinez, to be honest with you. Liverpool are going to get Guehi and Isaacs in the next 48 hours. Yeah, well, you can't have watched the That's Football video, because I've just been told it's not out till 9:15, but that's exactly one of the stories in there. They will get both of those players on top of what's been a very, very good transfer window for them. There is another story to bring you. I mean, look, whether you want to believe it or not, this came out from the Mirror last night from Simon Mullock, who you may well know as a journalist that's had stories around Man United over the last few years, predominantly when Ten Hag was here. I don't know what was going on with the Ten Hag era and the Mirror, but the Mirror were very well briefed around things at Man United when Ten Hag was here. They're saying, exclusive, Manchester United chiefs fear Ruben Amorim could still quit. Alarm bells have been ringing since May. Senior players disillusioned Erratic behaviour a cause for concern. So, look, I think that's only going to feed the Amorim outers and the media. Obviously, the Mirror is the media. Do I believe it? Look, you know what? I do believe it, but I don't believe their story, if that makes sense. Alarm bells ringing since May. Why? Senior players disillusioned. Why? Erratic behaviour a cause for concern. Why? He's a passionate manager, and we've lost to Grimsby. He ain't going to be very happy about that. It's an embarrassment to lose to Grimsby. So his reaction to that is not erratic. It's understandable. You know, we criticise Ten Hag because he showed no emotion. And then we criticise Amorim because he shows too much emotion. And at the end of the day, it's like the emotion police. At the end of the day, it's about results. We lost to Grimsby and the manager was fuming and showed it. I don't see that as erratic behaviour. As for senior players becoming disillusioned, who are these senior players? I mean, Harry Maguire looks happy, De Ligt looks happy, Casemiro's playing games and running his contract down. He's going to be a multimillionaire. He looks happy. Bruno's going to be a multimillionaire next summer. He looks happy. Who are these senior players? Luke Shaw's playing games. He looks happy. Who are these senior players? Mazraoui's just coming back from injury. Why would he not be happy? So, again, I call bullshit. Little bit of detective work exposes nonsense. Every senior player is getting games or injured. So, Delo, another senior player, playing a lot. So, I don't see that as a problem either. Where I would concede Amorim might not be happy is the reason we're not happy. If I was the manager of Man United and I was thinking about walking or quitting, there's a very big reason for it, and you all know it. The very big reason for quitting or walking away is because of what we've just spent the first 5 minutes talking about. Where's my fucking midfielder? You know, where's my goalkeeper? Why am I starting the season like this, and am I doing it for the rest of the season like this? That is why any manager worth their salt, because you figure it out, don't you? You know, I know we spoke about it last night, but maybe some of you haven't thought of it like this. You look at Manchester United's season right here, right now, and we were talking about it last night, and most people predicted we'll finish 8th. That ain't good enough. That's not good enough, is it? Come on. So a lot of United fans are saying we're going to finish 8th. That's not good enough. So if you figured that out, how are you figuring that out? You're figuring it out based on the United squad as it stands at this moment in time. So if you figured it out, then Amorim has figured it out. And if Amorim's figured it out, you're going into a season knowing you're going to have a bad season. And that's going to fall on you. And sometimes people will go, I'm very sure this is going to go wrong. I'm not taking the blame. I'm getting out of here and saying, look at what they did. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it did happen, I think a lot of people would, I think a lot of Amorim outers would celebrate that. I think it would make them praise him if he went, you know what? I can't succeed because of this ownership. I want out. I don't want him to do that, but it would be a very big issue. And I think it would be a big issue. And I'm surprised, again, INEOS haven't solved that issue to stop it being an issue. Because I think if Amorim did quit, it would be because of what he's been promised and not given. It would be because he's been betrayed and lied to. That's why I think Amorim would quit. Do I think he's going to quit? No. Do I think some of the points in that story are true? No. I don't sense erratic behaviour. I don't sense senior players being disillusioned. But if he was going to quit, I think it would be because he's not been backed in this summer transfer window. And you will get people, you know, of rivalry and toxicity saying he has been backed, he's had £200 million. But anybody worth their salt knows that Man United need to spend between £500 million and £1 billion on a team that's shit. And anybody worth their salt knows that we needed 5 minimum signings and we're too short. So Amorim might be saying to the board, we can't achieve anything this year because you haven't delivered what we needed to achieve. And that's going to lead to cracks in the dressing room. We already know from Sir Jim Radcliffe and from Amorim that they have real conversations quite regularly. So you know, I'm not going to sit here and say he won't quit. I don't think he will quit, but if he does, I think it will be for the same reason you aren't happy with this transfer window. He's the guy that's got to front up every week. I know it feels like it's horrible for us to front up every week, but we're fans. It's frustrating, it ruins your weekend, you're watching your rivals get further away, it's hard. But imagine being the guy in the dugout, taking responsibility for that, knowing it's going to happen. And to be honest with you, I look at this season and I go, flip a coin, is it going to be like last year, or is it going to be slightly better? It might be slightly better, but I don't see it being a good season, and, you know, that's not going to help him, is it? And also, what if he looks at it and goes, I'm absolutely going to get the sack? The club can say I'm not going to get the sack, but look at the noise around me. I am going to get the sack. So he might walk. I don't think he will, but I think the next 24 to 48 hours will dictate a lot of how he's thinking, and he has got an international break to think it through. Honestly, I don't want him to go. I find him very similar to Rangnick, and I know some people didn't like Rangnick, but a lot of us did. I like the honesty. Some people can't deal with the honesty because they want to blame one person. They want to, you know, there's still people in our fan base that think a certain manager can come in and make us great. It can't happen. I like the honesty of Rangnick and Amorim because they tell us what we see. There is huge problems at that football club. So I don't want him to go. I really don't. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he might not. And he, as well as us, is aware of the problems, I would say. Have you got a cold this morning? I'm fully aware that I'm going a little bit Hugh Grant. Not quite that deep, but yeah, something's starting to bubble up. So yeah, I don't know. But big day today. I am on That's Football for Liverpool against Arsenal. By the way, Amorim walked out of Sporting for ending the season at second and not winning. Man United board is not serious, says Roosh. Amorim out doesn't help anyone. We need to understand, says Shabazz. Yeah, but I think that's just human nature, mate. I think when something goes wrong, especially in football, we're indoctrinated to sack a manager. You know, it's learnt behaviour, isn't it? And unfortunately, football is very slow in certain areas when it comes to evolution and change. This is not just a Manchester United problem. It's an AC Milan problem. It's been a Chelsea problem. It's a Crystal Palace problem. When things go wrong at football clubs, you sack a manager and fans accept it. And that needs to change. There's a lot of positive change in football, but, you know, for years, if something goes wrong, you sack your manager, and it papers the cracks. And I think most Man United fans know that sacking managers is not the problem at Man United, but there are still some that believe it is. Despite Sesko not starting, we seem to perform better when Mount is on. I feel like the midfield should have been addressed before bringing in a striker, says Major Zero. Yeah, but we're still not scoring enough goals, are we? You know, I look at yesterday, we could have scored 6. We scored 3 and one of them was a penalty. I look at Fulham, we should have scored 3. We scored 1 and it was an own goal. I look at Arsenal, we should have scored 2 and we scored none. So we definitely do need a striker. We definitely do. Roald Dahl says, what's the breaking news? Well, it says it on the title. Martinez. Maybe go back and watch the first few minutes. Liverpool getting Guehi. I've done that one from Mario Franco. How much cash do we get from that? Liam wants us to go for a midfielder as well. So, yes. This is exhausting, says Ryan. It's like an abusive relationship. Look, my major concern, and I have to, we haven't got a game now. You know, we're not playing on Sunday. We played yesterday. My major concern is the midfield. I'm fuming about it. I'm absolutely fuming about it. And what's this from? Oh, he's a forward. I was getting excited then. 2 unnamed Premier League clubs are keen on making a move for Sevilla forward. Why is it forward? That's Fabrizio. Yeah, I'm fuming about the midfield. It absolutely had to be addressed, and the time is running out massively. We're not going to do a Belabor or a Wharton or a Yulmland now. We're not going to do that. The time's not there. I don't think they're going to do anything. I personally think now we're so late in the window. It's such an important position. What football club, if you want to talk logically, what football club leaves it to the last 24 hours to sign their most important signing of the summer? Nobody. Not even Man United. So I think they're going to ignore it. I don't think they're going to do anything about it. I think Belabor was a punt. They missed and they left it. And they think they can go back next summer, which is hilarious. How are you going to go and buy Belabor next season when you're finishing 8th with a new manager? It's not going to happen, is it? So we've messed it up. INEOS have basically put us in reverse with the Glazers. They've sent us backwards when it comes to transfers. There are people out there that want INEOS to do well. I do. I didn't choose them, but I want them to do well. But if we're being completely honest, what happens is you get linked to Šeško, you get linked to Belabor, and INEOS are pulling off a madness. And certain people start rimming them. And then this happens, and those certain people shut their mouths. Well, we shouldn't shut our mouths. We should be there going, well, where's the even-handed? You're praising them. You're not going to criticism now? And I can't stand those people who live up INEOS's arse when there's talk of positivity. But when they absolutely drop the ball, they run for the hills. They've messed up big time. They've absolutely messed up big time. They are sending us into a season like a lamb to slaughter. It's absolutely unforgivable. So I don't see a midfielder happening now. I want to be wrong, but I don't see it happening because they've left it late. And I think the only thing that's going to happen in the midfield is what many of you have predicted already. This whole Mainoo story is going to be spun as it's like a new signing because we made him stay. And it contradicts what we're all about, because keeping Mainoo when he doesn't want to be here is against... United are just so contradictory. We don't want players here that don't want to be here. You know, throughout the summer, they basically said about Gyökeres, we only want players who want to play for Man United. That was, I think Amorim said it in an interview. We only want players here that want to play for Man United. And you're going to keep a player that doesn't want to be here. And then you're going to class it as a new midfield signing. Walking contradiction, this football club. They put their finger in the air and just see which way the wind's blowing. I want Mainoo to stay, but he actually doesn't want to be here this season. He wants to go on loan. So that's another midfielder that doesn't want to be here. And you're not going to buy one. And then you're going to go, yay, we kept Mainoo. And I'm going to sit here and go, well, I'm happy Mainoo's staying, but he doesn't want to be here. Is that not a contradiction to what you said a month ago about you only want players that want to be here? He wants to be on a loan somewhere else. We've messed up big time. We've messed up big time with the midfield. And, you know, some people are like, I just want the window to close now. I wish it... I understand that, but it can't close without a midfield. But it's going to close without a midfield, isn't it? I find it absolutely incredible. I completely agree with Palace. We've messed up this transfer window. Look, if you've given it a 5, I think you're very generous. You're a very, very generous person. When we rank player ratings, it's 6 for average, it's 7 for good, and it's going up. When it's 5, it's below average. When it's 4, it's poor. I'm giving it a 4 at the moment. I would love to see one of these Glazer INEOS Glazers in our fan base try to justify this transfer window being a 6. Even an average 6, I would call bullshit. You're liars. It's not good enough. And in many ways, the board are sacking the manager they think they want to keep. You're sacking him with this transfer window. At some point, you are sacking him with this transfer window. And you can blame the media, and they'll do their job. And you can blame the Amorim, and they'll do their job. But ultimately, it's INEOS and the Glazers that are sacking this manager because they haven't given him anywhere near enough. You look at that United side last season. It finished 15th, and it got embarrassed in the Europa League. It needed a goalkeeper, a midfielder, and the 3 that it's got. They've given him the 3. Liverpool won the league. Arsenal came second, and they've bought 6 or 7 players. Absolutely shocking, really. Absolutely shocking. Even if we sign a midfielder like Belabor, if Bruno's the one playing alongside him, does that balance the midfield? I think, Nikhil, that's a problem I'd like to have. You know, Bruno is a problem, but it's a problem I'd like to have, actually having a new midfielder. We haven't even got it. We haven't even got it. Just Prime Edit says, I just don't understand why we do deals so slowly. Is it a tactic to extend it till tomorrow to calm the fans down? Yes. Yeah. There are so many things to unpick. The transfer window closes at 7 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be live at 8 o'clock with our transfer review show. And there is so much to unpick about not just deals that haven't been done, sales that haven't been done, but also the deals that got done late, not being ready for the start of the season, treating the first 3 games like pre-season again. We're not the only ones. Look at Newcastle. They've sat there with no strikers. They've got 2 points from 9. I've watched every Newcastle game, and they should have 9 from 9. But they haven't because they didn't buy a striker. It hurts you if you don't prepare for the start of the season, and we haven't. Any other updates? I'm sure there will be other updates today and hopefully tomorrow. We will be live for those as well. We have an 8 o'clock show. I'm sure we'll have a 2 o'clock show. But this morning, it's about the goalkeeper, a little bit about Amorim there. I'm off to watch football with Seb. Well, I'm off to watch Seb play football. I am definitely on that football later for Liverpool against Arsenal. Have a great day. I'll speak to you, I'm sure, very, very soon. Stay safe, and thank you very much for watching.